Bill Torano here from Maple Leaf Enterprises. Just want to start to get this process going here. We're going to work on installing Golden Gate. Golden Gate is actually morphed into more of a product now with an actual install, and you have to do the Oracle Universal Installer. You used to be able to just download a zip file and basically create a directory, unzip it, set an environment, and pretty much you were ready to go out of the gate. Now it's actually a full-blown product now that's from Oracle, so you have to download it, run the installer, install it into a directory, make sure you have the settings right. So it's actually more of a canned type of thing. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to need an account first and foremost. You're going to need an account with Oracle. You're not going to be able to just download this thing by itself. You're going to want to go to Downloads. You're going to want to go to Middleware, and then in Middleware, you're going to see there it says Golden Gate, and then we're going to be downloading the Golden Gate, the latest one, which is going to be for Linux, which is this one right here, this 12.301 for Oracle on Linux. And we're going to just do a simple Oracle to Oracle Golden Gate setup. So you're going to want to click on that. It doesn't take very long, and then move that over to your server. And what I'm going to do here is I actually initialized the install already. This is a virtual machine. Right now I'm actually using, I am using Parallels. So you Mac users, you can use Parallels if you so choose. Okay, and I had initiated the install, and it does give you, so this is actually going to be my very first time installing this version. I did install the version before this. It doesn't seem to be much different, other than the fact that now it does seem that you can actually install the newer version of Golden Gate for a backward compatible database, which is pretty cool, which I don't recall that being an option in the other version. It may have, but it's been a while. So anyway, this thing's pretty straightforward. You're going to want to do this as the Golden Gate user. All right, you're going to want to do this as the Golden Gate user. And if I can just bring up let me just bring up a terminal real quick. And we will swing. Why do I have two? Alrighty. Okay, that's no. Let's see here. Let's get this. And this is the Oracle Golden Gate. Now, I created a user called OGG for Oracle Golden Gate. All right, and that is going to be the user that you're going to use, right? And you're going to want to put it in your general Oracle location, right? For the most part, right? The spot for Oracle. As far as their documentation is concerned, it's always U01 app. Right, if it's Oracle, it goes in the Oracle directory. If it's Grid, it goes in the Grid directory. And obviously, if it's Golden Gate, it's going to go into the Oracle Golden Gate directory. And this is just what I use. You can use anything you want. If you want to use something a little more specific, I just prefer to just use that. It's very simple. It's hanging right off the Oracle base. It is done so according to the documentation. So you can proceed, and then that's where I'm going to proceed to install this. Go hit next, and then it's going to come up with, where's your location, start manager. I wouldn't do that. I don't really, I guess I'm not really sure about this. This seems new. This looks like this wants to put this. Oh, it's actually asking for the database location. Okay, that's fine. All right, and then this is where we're going to want to install, right? So again, like I said, this is this is all very new to me. I'm used to using Golden Gate and installing Golden Gate as a zip file. All right, let's see, existing. Found in location, installer will upgrade to 12, ensure all manual pre-upgrade steps are completed, blah, 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 blah. Port's already in use, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go into a GGSCI, and then I do info all, and I have an appended replicat, and I have a manager. So I do stop manager. Okay, and yes. All right, so now my manager is not running, and I can proceed with my install. Now, as far as prerequisites, I'm not going to worry about it because I don't really have anything in here that's really worth keeping. So I'm just going to go ahead and just fire this off and just go for it. Right, blah, 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 found the location, installer will upgrade. Yes, I want to do that, so I'm going to upgrade. Really, most of what they tell you to do is they basically tell you to make sure that you back up your parameter files in your directories and whatnot. So for the most part, I don't really care. I always save a response file. A lot of people don't. You can see there is one in there. I'm actually going to put this, I'm going to put 12.3.0.1, I think is what the version is, right? 12.3.0.1 is good enough. The other one is from the previous save. I always do that just so that I have record, and then I'm just going to let this thing go. And I don't think it's really going to do much of anything other than what the zip file used to do, but they just stuck this big fancy GUI in front of here, so that's fine. And we'll just let that run through, and that will install Golden Gate. Now you need to, like I said, make sure that you have the user created, right? The Oracle Golden Gate user. The user also needs to be, all right, rather than sit here and just watch the progress bar here, you need to make sure of this, right, on your Golden Gate user. Let me just get out of this because that might actually error out. But you want to make sure that your Golden Gate user is part of the O install group, right? So it has access to the Oracle binaries as well, because it's going to need to have access to the database. So it needs to be in that group. It also needs to be in the DBA group. I always put it in the DBA group. I know there's different documentation that tells you there's all different levels of security and different groups. I just, out of simplicity, I usually just put it in the DBA group. That's just what I do. And then as far as your parameters, you're going to want to do something like this. You're going to want to set up a bash RC file or bash profile or bash or K shell. I always use bash, but you're going to want to set something up like this. These are your 12. See, this is basically your environment variables. You're going to want an Oracle base, an Oracle home, which is going to be where the DB is, your grid home, your Oracle Golden Gate home, your Oracle client trace directory, your Oracle SID, whatever your Oracle SID is. If you have your Golden Gate instance connecting to multiple SIDs, you can make it actually go into a whole nother thing there that we could actually have a whole other session, and then whatever parameters that you want to do. And then I actually have it start in this is actually in the /home/Oracle OGG directory, just like every other root user. And then I usually have it change or CD to the Oracle Golden Gate home so that I am in the directory where all the executables are, which you should run. That's where you should run your GGSCI from. So that is that. And there you go, and it's finished. Yeah, it's finished. There it is. Okay, so it's finished. So we close. All right, and then again, like I said, this is a virtual machine, so I'm actually going to go ahead and get out of this. And now we can actually, just for demonstration purposes, I'm actually going to SU to Oracle Golden Gate. And I know there's a lot of security things as well. Oops, we don't want to do that. A lot of security things for... I always like to have my Golden Gate user log in directly, and our install seems to have worked, right? We're at Golden Gate 12.3.01, blah, blah, blah. It's optimized, right? So, and then we do info all, and it should still see our previous parameters, and it actually did start the manager for us automatically. So that's good. It didn't start our replicat, which we don't care. That's an issue. But there you have it. And it's that easy to install. The main thing is to make sure everything's set up in that bash RC. You got your user created. It's part of the install directory. It does have access, and you hang it off the Oracle base. Now again, I know there's some different configurations for it as well. So if it's like in a cluster, if you're going to install this in a cluster, chances are you're going to want to put it on like some kind of ACFS file system so that your other servers, your other rack servers can actually see it. Okay, so that may change the directory of where you actually put it as well. You know, one thing I would do is I would even hang it off the base and then make some kind of server, make some kind of alias to a shared file system, but leave it hanging off the base so that it's in a generic same place so that you know where everything is. It's just things don't get convoluted and crazy and spread out all over the place, even though it may be a link to some kind of auxiliary file system. And that's it, and that's all there is to it. Now it's installed, and then we can actually go into some of the next steps we need to do to get our manager configured, get it set up properly, create a credential store. And so these are some of the things that we will be looking at. MGR is the parameter for that. It actually is listening on port 7809. That is the only setting. There's a number of settings we're going to need to set in here. We're going to have to create a credential store. We're going to have to create a wallet location. We're going to have to set some kind of parameters to delete our trail logs, yada, yada, yada. So, and we can cover that on the next section. So there you go. And that's how you install Golden Gate 12.3.01. And it was pretty straightforward and simple. And then obviously if you're going to be doing that on another node and you're going to be setting up Golden Gate replication between nodes, you would just do that same exact thing across on the other node. And I would recommend that you try and keep the user IDs across the systems consistent. So like if the user ID is 1001 on here, I would keep that consistent with the secondary and ancillary systems using Golden Gate, especially if you're going to use a cluster. You're going to want to make sure that those user IDs are the same. This way that it's easy to identify the files and that there's not any issues for whatever, if you're using a shared file system for any reason or another. So that's it. That's how you install Golden Gate, and pretty simple.